Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving right into Component 2 of your GCSE Religious Studies syllabus to discover exactly why Mary is considered the ultimate model of the Catholic Church. If you're revising sin and forgiveness, getting a grip on Mary's unique role in salvation is absolutely crucial. She isn't just some distant figure from history, she literally represents the absolute ideal of what it means to live a fully dedicated Catholic life.
Okay, so here's our game plan for today's revision. First, we'll look at Mary as the ultimate mediator. Then we'll break down the three core pillars of her life: perfect discipleship, unwavering faith, and ultimate charity. And finally, we'll cover her importance today.
All right, let's jump straight into our first section, the ultimate mediator, and really understand Mary's role. Right off the bat, we've got to tackle a massive exam trap. Seriously, it's such a common misconception. Do Catholics actually worship Mary? You know, it's so easy to see the statues and hear the prayers and just jump to the totally wrong conclusion. But getting this distinction right is the absolute foundation for understanding her entire place in the Catholic faith.
Well, the answer to that is a hard no. Absolutely not. Only God is worshipped. The key difference here is that while Catholics pray directly to God, they pray through Mary. Because she has this incredibly close, special relationship with God, believers know she doesn't actually answer the prayers herself, right? Instead, she acts as a mediator. She intercedes. That basically means she takes those prayers, pleads to God, and asks Jesus to help on the believer's behalf.
And a really beautiful physical visualization of this intercession is the votive candle. If you walk into a Catholic church, you're going to see these little candles placed on a specific stand right next to a statue of Mary. When a Catholic lights one of these, it acts as a glowing physical symbol of their prayer. It literally represents their request for Mary to intercede and plead to God for them, keeping that prayer alive and burning long after they've left the building. Moving right along to Section 2, let's look at our first pillar, perfect discipleship.
So why do Catholics view her as the greatest example of a true disciple? Well, it all traces back to that exact moment the angel announced she was chosen to be the human mother of God the Son, Jesus Christ. She didn't hesitate. She didn't bargain or ask for a few days to think it over. As your source material points out, she accepted the news willingly and joyfully. She was just all in, dedicating her entire life to Jesus from that very second.
That immediate 100% joyful dedication, that makes her the absolute blueprint for service. She isn't just a passive character in the story, she is an active role model. For Catholics looking to understand exactly how they should serve God, they don't need a complex instruction manual, they just need to look at Mary. Her discipleship is the ultimate guide to living a life completely dedicated to God's will.
All right, that brings us to Section 3, our second pillar, unwavering faith.
And when we say unwavering, we mean her complete trust literally spanned her entire life. Think about it. On day one, when she was told she would have a child despite being a virgin, she didn't second-guess God. She trusted completely. And that faith, it didn't waver when things got unimaginably difficult. Fast forward to year 33. At the very end, when almost everyone else abandoned Jesus, she did not run. She remained right there as one of his few followers at the foot of the cross. Honestly, that is what perfect faith looks like.
Which leads us perfectly into Section 4, our third pillar, ultimate charity.
Mary's life is just an absolute masterclass in total self-giving. She held absolutely nothing back from God. Zero. By agreeing to bear his son, she handed over her whole life, her body, and her future to God's plan. Catholics recognize this specific choice, bearing Jesus, as the absolute greatest act of charity ever possible, simply because it brought salvation into the world. It shows Christians exactly how they should strive to give of themselves.
But we also see this charitableness play out practically in everyday situations, right? The most famous example is the wedding feast at Cana. The steps are so simple but incredibly profound. Step 1, the celebration runs out of wine, which, let's be real, was a total social disaster in the ancient world. Step 2, Mary steps up, puts the needs of the guests first, and asks her son for help, knowing he has the power to fix it. And Step 3, as a direct result of her asking, Jesus turns water into wine, performing his very first miracle.
Now, why does this matter so much? Because this event brilliantly highlights a key theological point that ties our whole explainer together. This miracle proves that Jesus listens to his mother. He fulfills her requests. This isn't just a nice story about saving a wedding reception. This is the exact scriptural reason Catholics trust her as a mediator today. They pray through Mary with absolute confidence, knowing that just like at Cana, she's going to take their needs to Jesus, and Jesus is going to listen to her.
Let's pull all of this together in our final section,
Mary's importance today.
As you finalize your GCSE revision notes, remember that Mary isn't just stuck in the past. She is an active, ongoing presence in the Catholic faith right now. She acts as that constant mediator believers can always turn to. She provides a flawless guide for what modern discipleship should actually look like. When believers face incredibly hard times, her presence at the cross exemplifies real, enduring faith, and her entire life shows Christians exactly what it means to be totally self-giving today.
So, to wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a provocative thought to chew on. Don't just memorize these facts for the exam, think about the real-world application. How might embracing Mary's model of total self-giving and rock-solid trust actually transform your own approach to the heavy challenges we all face in the modern world? Really think about it. Thanks so much for joining me for this deep dive into Component 2. And hey, best of luck with your revision.